So you're telling me that you would rather sit in a car for hours and drive to the site than, you know, be on your computer and answering phone calls and stuff? Like, come on, explain this to me. Why would you rather do that?
I just do not like the remote monitoring process at all. And
Okay.
maybe it was the company that I'm with and how, I don't know what else to say, anal they were about it, but it was bad. So I was like, I don't want to do this. I'd rather just be like out, getting my per diem,
Right. Right.
traveling, seeing some places. Yeah, so that's kind of like my mindset. And I mean, if they really wanted me to do remote monitoring, I would have. But I just didn't like sitting still for that long, and I just felt like it was a good look because it's actually more profitable to accomplish these or conduct these on-site visits than the remote ones. So it also just looked better from a business standpoint. So that's what I did, and it lasted pretty long, but then eventually a lot of sites were starting to crack down, especially my northern sites,
Hmm.
on visitors.
Yep.
I guess as like the vaccine development increased and they started doing more rigorous testing, I guess like the PCR testing came out, sites were like, oh no, we need to like redo our SOPs, and a lot of people were testing positive at the sites, so they had to quarantine. It was just a mess.
Oh
So
wow.
eventually, I did have to go to remote monitoring, and I got used to it. But like I said, it was just essentially a lot more, hoops and ladders to jump through and climb, and it was just hoops and ladders. I don't even know where that came from. So, it was just a lot more of a production, and I'm just glad that we actually can be on site again and that I'm flying again. And it's less action items too. Action items galore
Yeah.
when you're remote. It's just
Yeah.
everything, monitor will physically reconcile, blah, 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 when on site. And you just keep pushing it out because you
Yep.
never know when this due date is going to be feasible.
Yep.
So that's
So,
why.
so do you think your disdain for remote monitoring has to do with the processes necessarily weren't put in place because no one could have expected this COVID thing to happen and for so long? Or do you think it's just always going to be that annoying to do?
I think that it was just kind of done on the fly. And I don't blame them. I mean, it was an unprecedented event, and we didn't really know where it would take us. Remote monitoring has been a thing, but being that there was so much uncertainty and unforeseen events occurring, we had no idea when we could actually be on site. So it completely changed the whole dynamic of remote monitoring. When you don't know when you can actually be on site, it's a whole different animal, right?
Yep.
Um, so I think that as we progress, eventually remote monitoring will not be as common. We'll still, have our on-site visits, but I also think a lot of companies realize the value of remote monitoring from, price point and the ability to accommodate it. Because if people are traveling, obviously there's unforeseen events, but if you're doing remote, you're more likely to be able to hit that window for a visit. You're more likely
That's
to be able
true.
to clean more data because you're not worrying about travel interruptions, other things coming up. So if it's like strictly for SDV, it might be a little more efficient, especially if they're using like an EMR or like a specific system like Creo or Veos or something like that. There's like a million different, secure server systems. A lot of them use like FileZilla and those upload the password protected encrypted documents and whatnot. But I do think it's going to become more common of a practice. I don't know when that'll implement. I think that's going to be in like the next like 5 years because a lot of companies have realized like we can achieve a lot remotely, but
Yes,
you
you can.
still need those visits on site to make sure that the sites are being properly run. There's proper PI oversight,
Absolutely.
and that all the things they said at the PSV and during the SIV and throughout the interim visits are still there. It's still up to par essentially. So
Yep.
I don't think I don't think we'll ever go fully remote, but I do think it'll eventually be integrated at a higher capacity.
You're 100% right. I told you because it's actually my site in Richmond. My monitoring window is 26 weeks, and that's the on site. That's it. 26 weeks. That's
It's a
crazy.
lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot of weeks, and the rest,
It is.
and in the middle is in the interim is remote monitoring. So it
That's
sucks.
twice a year.
I know. So that's why I'm gonna say you better be there in December when I come up there.
I'm here, man. Come see me. The house will be ready too.
All right, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just crazy. Like you said, I think over the next 5 years there's going to be a bigger push because now every protocol is going to have some kind of remote contingency in it because
Yeah.
of COVID.
Right. Hopefully it's more refined too, because it has been really sloppy and like,
Yes,
on the fly, as I said.
I mean, and it
So,
should have been. I mean, it was a pandemic that just came out of nowhere. So
yep.
anyone that was prepared for that, you got to question like what kind of intel they had of the
Yeah. See
situation.
if they have some backdoor interest in Pfizer, Moderna,
Exactly.
Johnson and Johnson or something.
Exactly. But let me ask you this: do you think CROs like remote monitoring, like from the company structure, or they're just adapting to the times and what the sponsors want?
So CROs, especially if they're publicly traded, I mean, they're profit centric. Like they're all about their bottom line. And I personally don't know. I haven't looked in this, so it's a really good point there. But I wonder if remote visits, if they're occurring consistently, are they more profitable than actual on-site visits? I don't know. And maybe they will be eventually, like if they restructure their budgets and their contracts and whatnot. But I know it might more so be for the sponsors more profitable because they don't have to worry about travel,
Yep,
expenses, hotels, rental cars, tolls.
all that stuff. Tolls.
Yeah, per diem. I mean, dude, some tolls are they really add up,
Okay.
especially when you hit those express lanes
And
to get around
when you're
easier.
traveling for work, I'm sure you only hit the express lanes, right?
When I'm not gonna incriminate myself, but I will
Okay.
say if it if I'm running late or something like that, it means a whole difference, man.
If I'm running late.
It means I'm saving 30 minutes of my life. I'm doing it. I'm pulling the trigger.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Uh,
So,
I've driven up to DC and there's a couple tolls and I've definitely hit the express lanes.
oh yeah, you can accumulate like $40 if you pass
Everyone.
every single exit on that
Yeah.
expressway. Yeah.
Wow. No, you're right.
Yeah.
It does shave a lot of time, but it's funny because if I was coming up there for a personal, I might wait a little bit. But
Yeah. Yeah. When you see those easy pass uh remarks on your statement, you're like, "Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe
yeah.
I'll sit in traffic next time." Hop on Waze. I'll hop on Waze next time.
There you go.